Hey, it's your girl Kellia from Black Girl Happy Planner. And I'm coming to you today with my first attempt at a book review. I just recently read a book for one of my many book clubs called The Book of Cold Cases. And let me backtrack on when I say my many book clubs. My many book clubs are just that. I am in multiple book clubs on purpose. A couple of years ago, I decided to join, I guess during the pandemic, multiple book clubs. Or just after the pandemic. So I'm in one that's a virtual book club. It's a bunch of ladies that get together, mostly women from my sorority, who kind of get together and read books. And mostly, those books are mostly African American themed and by African American authors. Another book club I'm in is called Pens and Needles, and it's a book club that focuses on mysteries and kind of, mystery driven stories. And we do crafts like knitting, needlepoint, crochet, things like that. People bring crafts to work on while we discuss the book. The other book club I'm in, one is a part of my Simple Scrapper book club that I'm in, or group that I'm in, all focused on scrapbooking. But a lot of the books we read for that group are both on productivity and just how to manage your craft. Let's see. One more book club I'm in is for the Jane's Agenda 365 masterclass. It's also focused on productivity and planning. And so we read books for that club, and that's a year-round class. And let's see, I'm in one more book club, the Brothers and Sisters Book Club of North Huntsville. And that one is, again, mostly African American readers, and we focus on African American writing and authors and stories. I do not read all of the books all of the time in every single book club. I go through the list for the year, and I pick out the titles that I'm interested in reading, and I try to figure out how long it's going to take me to read each title, because I'm not a quick reader. Like, it takes me a while. The thing that does help me is audiobooks. So I've in the last 2 years have embraced audiobooks. I was very much a naysayer of audiobooks because I thought you were supposed to read books and flip through the pages. I don't have time for that anymore. Most people I know don't have time to do that. And so I started reading audiobooks, and that has been a lifesaver, but also it helps me read more. I used to be a voracious reader back, especially in high school, and then through college. I had to read for, my classes in college. But then on and off, I would read here and there in my, late 20s, in my 30s, and then a little bit in my 40s, but not really. And so recently, in the last, I would say 3 or 4 years, especially during the pandemic, I started reading again. And it's been a very fun experience. And it's been a fun experience to do it through these various book clubs. So I say all that to say, here I am presenting finally my first book review for my Black Girl Happy Planner listeners. And I call myself my own book club, the Black Girl Happy Book Club. You can follow that on Instagram. I have a handle called Black Girl Happy Book Club. And I also have a handle, my main handle, which is Black Girl Happy Planner. So you can see and hear this podcast on both of those sometime, probably next week. I would look for it next week if you want to re-listen to it there, or you can listen to it on Spotify. Either way. So, back to the book review. So, The Book of Cold Cases is by an author named Simone St. James. And I'll just give you the synopsis/summary of the book. When an infamous alleged murderess enters the doctor's office where she works, Shay manages to score the interview of a lifetime and a chance to solve Claire Lake's infamous lady killer murders once and for all. And just to give you background on the characters in the book, Shay is the main character of the story. She is a kind of recluse, modern day recluse, because of something that happened to her back in the day when she was a child. She was kidnapped by this guy who tried to assault her but didn't succeed. She rolled out of the car and got away from him. He then later assaults another child and kills her, and it's a whole thing. And so it's affected her whole life. So she does not drive. She takes the bus everywhere. Mind you, Clear Lake, just give background on the city of Clear Lake where they live. Clear Lake is a kind of hoity-toity place in Oregon, based in Oregon, set in or the state of Oregon. And it's, people seem to have money in that area. But she works in a doctor's office. She kind of keeps to herself. She also does true crime writing online. She has a blog, and she has a following of people who listen to, read her blog and follow the cases that she's, kind of investigating, if you will. And so the whole storyline evolves around her and her situation. One of the cases that she is kind of obsessed with is this Clear Lake murder. They called it the Lady Killer. And the lady that got arrested for it, her name was Beth Greer. And her family was the richest family in Clear Lake. And she was arrested, put in jail for a little while, but she was then acquitted because they didn't find any evidence. But the story, her and Beth meet each other. She asks for an interview for her true crime blog. And Beth becomes enamored with Shay and shares a lot of information with her. And she's the only person outside of her lawyer and the police that Beth feels comfortable sharing. Beth is also this rich girl. She was a teenager when she got arrested for killing these men, and allegedly her parents. She was 19 years old when that happened, but she was also a rich 19-year-old. So she kind of has never had a job, has never had to work, kind of has lived off her parents' money. And she, drinks a lot. And so that she's in her 60s at this point in the story when they actually meet. And so, yeah. So it goes from there. I don't want to give the whole plot line away, but it's an interesting story. I will say it was a good book. I will also say that it was a few chapters too long for me. Like when I hit chapter 40, 41, 42, I was like, okay, this story's over. But for some reason, the author tagged on 3 or 4 more chapters. And I was like, okay. But I was determined to finish it. And so, yeah. And so I read my books on Audible. And I recently discovered that Audible is available on your Fire Stick. If you didn't know that, if you have Amazon Fire Stick, just a side note, Audible is available there too. So you can listen through your TV to your books, to your audiobooks. Anywho, so the book is a pretty good book. I'm very much into true crime in real life, so I watch a lot of those true crime shows. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts and things. I watch Dateline and Forensic Files every night. They put me to sleep. I'm weird. Those shows put me to sleep. I'll put them on in the background, and before I know it, I'm asleep. And so, but yeah, those kind of shows intrigue me, as they do a lot of people. So as we know, they're popular. And so this main character in the book is very much around her obsession with true crime, and her personal experience with true crime. Her and Beth formed this kind of weird relationship with each other. And the book also has some sort of supernatural overtones, some of which I'm still trying to understand and get, because they lost me when they started doing the supernatural stuff. If you read the book, you'll see what I'm talking about and understand what I'm talking about. But overall, it was a good book. I'll probably give it say a 7 out of 10 because it was a good book. I would have preferred it to be a more realistic mystery to the end of the book because I do well with real life true crime. But the author feels compelled to do this kind of mystery thing. I guess, though, because it is a mystery book and because one of the main characters, Beth Greer, at the end they find out she has a medical issue. And my guess is that the medical issue, which was an aneurysm, is possibly creating these delusions. And this is why the supernatural part is in, because you have trouble. I had trouble. I'll say me. I'll take ownership of my trouble understanding why the supernatural piece was in there and seeing of ghosts and things like that. But maybe that's why, because she had this aneurysm. That might be the reason that was in the story. At the end, I kind of figured that out, and maybe that's what it was. But if you read the book, you let me know.